Akeeba Solo can do more than just back up a website. It can also back up files and sites that exist above your web root. There are two occasions where you may want to do this. If you have a downloads folder that you are protecting by keeping above the web root, you would want to make sure that you back that up as well. You may have also installed an additional website, perhaps a subdomain for a WordPress blog, and you want to make sure that in your backup you include this site as well as the main site. We can see there are two options for including data in the backup, one for databases and one for directories. To begin with, let's look at the databases. So select Multiple Databases Definition. Here we can add the details of the additional databases for the blog that we want to back up. Click on the small plus icon and a pop-up opens asking for the connection details for your database. You should have this from your web host. First, enter the host name, the username, the password, and finally the name of the database you wish to back up. Click on Test Connection. When you have a success message, click Save. You've now configured Akeeba Solo to include this additional database in your backup. We now want to include the files. From the dashboard, select the Off-Site Directories Inclusion. Again, click on the small plus icon and then click on the folder icon. Here we can see that we have in our hosting account three folders. Downloads, where I am storing the off-site downloads, Blog for my WordPress blog subdomain, and Public HTML, which is my current PHP v3 forum website. If I want to include the downloads folder, simply select it, select Use, and then click on the Save icon. Repeat that for the blog by clicking on the plus, Browse, selecting the blog, and selecting Use. Finally, Save. We can see here the names of the temporary folders that will be used inside our backup. Now we have added our external database for the blog and our two folders for the downloads and the blog itself. We can go ahead and create a new backup. I'm going to use my FTP program to connect to a new server where I'm going to restore this backup. I am using FileZilla, but you could use any FTP program to connect to the new server. As you can see, my new server has a public HTML folder where my website should live, and if I navigate in, you can see that it is empty. Let's take the backup file and copy that across to our new server. Finally, let's take our kickstart.php file and copy that across as well. Now, let's return to our web browser and complete the restoration. Go to the special URL for the kickstart.php file, close this message, and begin. We can see it has selected the archive file, and we can let the Akeeba Kickstart program extract the files to our web server. Once that has completed, we can run the installer. As with all Akeeba restorations, the installer checks that our server is suitable, and then we can click Next. We are now ready to restore the site's main database, the one for your PHP v3 website. Click Next to continue. Here we have an additional screen. We can see here that this screen is to set up the extra database, the one for our WordPress blog. So here, make sure you enter the correct details for the blog and not the forum website, and click Next. The installer is now ready to restore your downloads folder to above the web root. Click Next and the files will be copied, and do the same again for the blog folder. Finally, complete the rest of the site setup for your website as you would do normally. We can see our website is now up and running. The final step is to remove the copy of the external folders from inside our public HTML web space. To do this, return to FileZilla. Here we can see that the blog and the downloads folders have been successfully copied. And if we go into the public HTML where our forum website is, we can see a folder called External Files. If you go inside it just to double check, you can see the blog and the downloads. We no longer need this, so let's go back up, select that folder and delete it. So by using the multiple database definitions and the off-site directories inclusion feature of Akeeba Solo, we can use it to not only back up our main website, but to back up all the other websites within our hosting as well.